Greetings. I'm Elder Blacklight. The truth should be told and not sold. I want you to share this video, make duplicate copies, because we got the kind of flavor that will save you and the kind of knowledge you won't get in college. What you see here is a book called The Theology of Time by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That figure you see is an exploding atom in black space. Now, ultimately, what we want to show you is the behavior of the Antichrist, or the anti-nature. It goes back 6,000 years ago. Stay tuned. You'll begin to understand as we proceed. That figure there was an atomic bomb exploding. Destructive weapons of mass destruction.
Your risks have the potential to eliminate all of humanity, or kill large swathes of the global population, leaving survivors unable to rebuild modern society. Some of these disasters are likely to happen in our lifetime, or our children's lifetime. One of the greatest risks is a pandemic far worse than coronavirus. The number of labs working with dangerous pathogens has quickly grown into the thousands, and there have been many accidental releases. Smallpox killed over 300 million people in the century before it was eradicated. In 1978, it escaped from a British lab, claiming a final victim. And more recently in the US, abandoned vials of smallpox were found in a cardboard box during an office move. Researchers are planning to make avian flu, with a mortality rate of 60%, more transmissible among humans. When a strain of avian flu made the leap in 1918, it killed around 50 million people. The US government paused the research after warnings from hundreds of scientists and safety failures at many labs. But last year, the research was allowed to resume. The aim is to predict how the virus might mutate and create vaccine stockpiles. But Professor Salzberg points out that influenza mutates while circulating among millions of birds, and we don't even stockpile seasonal flu because it mutates too fast. Virus-enhancing research like this has been likened to the discovery of nuclear power and nuclear weapons.
This is where that money has been going, is to acquire control over these groups and institutions by buying up influence and control over the people who run them. That means that they're buying up politicians, political parties, television networks, cable networks, newspapers, magazines, publishing houses, wire services, motion picture studios, universities, labor unions, church organizations, trade associations, tax-exempt foundations, multinational corporations, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, you name it. Any group, any institution which exercises influence has been a target for control, and they have a lot of money to spend to acquire that control.
New clues this morning about a possible motive in the Nashville bombing. Federal authorities have identified the bomber as 63-year-old Anthony Quinn Warner. DNA evidence confirms Warner's remains were found at the scene of the RV blast on Christmas Day. The vehicle exploded outside an AT&T communications hub, knocking out cell and Wi-Fi service from Tennessee to Alabama. Authorities say there are no other suspects and Nashville is considered safe. Mola Langi is in Nashville with the very latest. Good morning.
Good morning, Jerika. Sources tell CBS News that investigators are looking into whether Anthony Quinn Warner was targeting communications infrastructure by blowing up that RV outside that AT&T transmission building, which is right down the street there. One source tells CBS News that Warner's late father had actually once worked at AT&T. And investigators are also looking into whether he may have been influenced by online conspiracy theories into 5G technology.
Surveillance video captured the sheer power of the Christmas morning blast, which brought downtown Nashville to a grinding halt. Yesterday, the FBI named 63-year-old Tennessee resident Anthony Quinn Warner as the bomber. According to a law enforcement bulletin obtained by CBS News, agents found a note while searching Warner's house that led them to a witness. That witness told the FBI they spoke to Warner about a week before the bombing, and that Warner gave them his car, saying he had cancer and didn't need it anymore. Gloves and a beanie hat were found in that car, and DNA from those items were used to match the DNA gathered from the remains at the scene.
We're still following leads, but right now there is no indication that any other persons were involved.
Good morning, everyone. We begin this morning with politics and head to Florida, where President Trump signed a bill containing $900 billion in pandemic relief, backing down from demands that lawmakers change the bill before he signed it. Bloomberg's Mario Parker joins me now by phone from West Palm Beach, Florida. Hey, Mario, it's so great to have you on the show this morning. What do you think it is that pressured the president to sign this version of the bill at the last minute?
Thanks for having me, Tim. Well, it's unclear what pressured the president to essentially give in, but it's important to remember that this was chaos and crisis of his own making. He essentially undermined some of his top advisors, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, for example, who negotiated on behalf of the White House and then touted the bill last week, only for President Trump to hours later criticize it.
So everything is getting ready to come to a head, but it's going to be a slow crawl. Stay tuned for the next one. By the way,
let me tell you something. These some different times that I never thought I'd be living in, and I'm quite sure you're going through the same thing. We've been fighting HIV our whole life for over 30, 40, maybe even 50 years, and they still ain't got a cure for that. We've been fighting herpes our whole life, but yet they still ain't got a cure for that. I'm talking about dementia. I'm talking about Alzheimer's, all these liver diseases, and all these incurable diseases, but yet Corona hit and they got a cure for it. I realize why. It's attacking them economically. They can't make no money, so they rushed up a cure real quick, but we don't even know what's in this shit. Understand what I'm saying? So I'm finna break this down, man, because a lot of people finna come into a life and death situation where they gotta take a vaccination in order to keep manifestation coming on their table, feeding their family. So I'm not a doctor, I'm not Dr. Phil, and I'm not a goddamn physician, I'm none of that, but I do got common sense, and I have researched a lot of things, man, and I have declined vaccinations in my life, and I'm gonna share with you some of the tactics that I did to decline vaccinations respectfully, and they couldn't do nothing with it.